Thanks for watching the video. My name's Clint from the Diehard MMA Podcast, and you can catch the replay of this entire video over on odds.com. Click the link below to go check it out, and let's make some cash. Let's roll this thing right along. Next up, we've got a flyweight fight. Sue Mudaerji taking on Malcolm X Gordon. These guys have identical records. Sue is 12-4-0. Malcolm 12-4-0 as well. And Sue, I believe, unless Kai Kamaka overtook him, is the biggest favorite on the card this week. Let me find it here. For some reason, my eyes can't quite. There we go. About the same. Minus 330, minus 340 across the board is what it looks like on Sue. And I like what I see from Sue, man. He's a young kid in his early 20s. He's done some training at Tiger Muay Thai and ATT, two of the very best gyms on the planet. He got his, UFC debut off a loss, which is a little bit weird, but I think the UFC kind of saw something they liked in this kid. Really light on his feet, nice head kick. He cuts angles really well, long arms, good boxing. And Malcolm Gordon is just, he's the exact opposite of this guy. He's supposedly a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. I haven't seen too much to impress me on the floor. I know he's got six submissions on his record, and he just does not like getting hit. He is, for a guy that's got 16 professional fights, he is so bad on the feet and shells up so easily. So I understand why Sue is such a big favorite here in this spot, but all four of Sue's losses have come by submission. These guys are like opposite ends of yin and yang, man. Neither one can do what the other is strong at. And because of that, it leaves me not really wanting to parlay Sue, even though I do feel like he's maybe the right side here. How do you see this one?
So I'm actually quite familiar with Malcolm Gordon. I actually did a lot of work for the show that he made his pro debut at back in, 2013, I believe it was. It's been a while, 2012. Actually, sorry, it was the second fight that he had. So I did actually work at Score Fighting Series as well. But anyway, this guy was kind of the protege of the Adrenaline team down in London, Ontario. We got guys like Chris Ordesky, Sam Stout, Mark Hominick, and the famed coach, the late coach, Sean Tompkins, before he moved down to Vegas to do work with Vitor Belfort and those guys, he tried creating this team over in London, Ontario. And Malcolm Gordon was one of those guys that followed him down to Vegas. He's like, okay, I want to, get my career going. Team Tompkins, they're great. They have great reputation. And then Tompkins dies, and we get Malcolm Gordon come back up to London, Ontario, and really get taken under the Sam Stout wing, the Chris Ordesky wings. He looked like a threat early in his career. Like, he looked like a guy that could truly put it together. He went off 5 straight victories, especially beating Chris Kalidas, who, did make it to the UFC eventually, even after that one loss. But that was a really big win for him. Loses to Randy Turner, who's kind of like a local legend up here in Canada. And that was an unfortunate loss for him for sure. And then his second last loss against Dimitri Wardenberg, that was a fight where the guy was just way bigger than him. Don't let the 11-7 record of Dimitri Wardenberg fool you into thinking that guy was a scrub. That guy fought everybody, the best of the best on the Canadian scene. Sometimes got the victory, sometimes got the loss, but more often than not, he had like a Tony Ferguson aura about him, where he was just always having banger fights, and that's exactly what he had against Malcolm Gordon. The Yanni Sherbatov fight is probably the most notable win for Malcolm Gordon, but I believe Sherbatov actually ended up injuring himself right before that rear naked choke finish. But yeah, you're absolutely on point about him not looking comfortable at all on the feet. Like, he did move his most of his striking camp to Joseph Bazooka Valentini. A lot of people know him as the Glory kickboxing champion that had to retire because he had all these concussions and all that shit. But you can expect quick improvements in striking off of 1 or 2 camps with one striking coach. You know what I mean? And it definitely showed in that last fight against Amir Albazi. You know what I mean? Albazi, mainly a grappler, goes out there and outstrikes Malcolm Gordon and looks really good doing it, and then eventually takes him down and submits him his game. Malcolm Gordon was the black belt. You're telling me he's the one that got submitted against the purple belt?
The purple belt took him down and choked him out.
Exactly. That was very, very that really sucked for sure. We'll talk more about Amir as he's fighting later in this card too. But Gordon, I think he needs to get the fight to the ground to have his most success. We have seen Sue Mudaerji submitted by Louis Smolka, but I do believe that Louis Smolka is a much, much better jiu-jitsu player than Malcolm Gordon, especially in the MMA world. I see this fight mainly taking place on the feet. I see Mudaerji completely tuning him up on the feet, unless we see those massive amounts of improvements working with Joseph Altolini for Malcolm Gordon. This is a tough one for Gordon for sure. personally, I wish he made it into the UFC a little bit earlier, but obviously he didn't put together the correct record to do so. I just think Mudaerji just has him absolutely beat on the feet. I like how much he moves. Great high kick, like you were saying earlier before. The way that he pieced up Andre Sukumtat, who probably not the greatest fighter, but is a decent striker. And we need to give Sukumtat that credit as much as we like to rag on that guy. Mudaerji made it look amateur in that fight, dropped him a couple times, and even had some success on top of him in that third round. But yeah, I like Sue here, not at minus 330. I still think there's some questions on him. He is ever improving, but I don't think that Malcolm or Gordon is going to come out here and pull off an upset. Just not as much sold on him as I thought I would be after running the tape here, because I like the guy. He's an Ontario guy, a Canadian guy. You know what I mean? I want to back my Canadians, but if I don't see it on the tape, I'm not backing him. So I'm going with Mudaerji. I wouldn't even be surprised if he finishes him, like possibly a TKO on the feed too. So I'll go with Mudaerji inside the distance. So even if you want to play a prop and maybe get a better line, what do we got for the Mudaerji inside the distance? Minus 115. So even money. Yeah, I'd like a plus money, to be honest, when I'm playing it inside the distance. But I think that's definitely his best path to victory here.
Yeah, but I mean, paying just slight juice when the guy is going to be minus 400 by fight night, it's not, it's not bad. I'd rather play it that way. The thing that gets me, man, for those of you who follow my articles that I write for odds.com, the very first one that I put out, unfortunately, I don't have access to this particular line yet, so I haven't been able to hit it myself. Dude, they opened the under 2.5 at plus 110.
Wow.
I was like, I wrote my article. This is the one bet on the entire card that I was like, I'm going to hammer that. Couldn't get to it because I don't have that book available to me. It is now minus 155 at best. So smoked the value on that pick, and it's not even in my pocket. So hopefully somebody got on it, but not me.
It always sucks when you miss a line like that.
Yeah, just it's not widely available yet. You know what I mean? That's really the only problem, but is what it is. I like the under 2.5 in this spot because if something was going to happen, if Sue does something stupid and Malcolm has any path in this fight, it's that submission ability. So that under 2.5 really encompasses both guys there, and then you're not picking a side. I might play a lot of totals this week, man. There's a lot of opportunities, I think, this week to not pick a side and play a total instead.
No, I agree. There's, like you said, there's a ton of juice, and not to mention a ton of questions around those people with the juice too. So you don't really want to. And again, probably not the most convincing underdogs either. Yeah. I mean, so maybe the money here for this weekend was definitely on the totals.
Maybe so. I do want to go ahead and answer one of our questions here in the chat. Jake McDonald says, do you think these guys train? Jake, my friend, I have done years of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and I've actually done a decent amount of Muay Thai training myself. Your boy had a kid 5 years ago. My ass is out of shape. I am rocking that dad bod right now, but I've actually done quite a bit of training. Manpreet, I don't even know, man. Have you ever done any training?
So the only training I've really done is in boxing, but okay. I did work at an MMA gym where I did end up cornering a couple MMA guys. I know my way around in MMA gym, but in terms of actually training myself, I've mainly only stuck with the boxing aspect of it.
There you go. Nothing wrong with it, man. I like some boxing myself. I'm just not very good at it. I got some long ass legs, so the Muay Thai always made more sense to me.
I got some hands. That's where I got some hands.
There you go. There you go.